We have House File 4649 next up, and the motion there will be to lay this bill over for possible inclusion in the omnibus policy bill. And to your bill, Representative Sensimira.
Thank you, Chair Hornstein. So my motion is to lay House File 4649 over for possible inclusion in Transportation Policy Omnibus Bill. This bill is a bill that was brought to us by the Department of Public Safety. It modifies the requirements for car seats, child restraints when a child is transported in a motor vehicle. As a mom of a 2-year-old, this bill is important to me. It does a few things. It replaces the current mandate on use of a child passenger restraint system that is based on thresholds of child's age and weight. It sets out a series of child restraint use requirements that vary with the circumstances for the child. It identifies conditions that mandate child seating in the car. It eliminates a statutorily identified $50 fine amount. And it no longer directs the fine revenue to Minnesota Child Passenger Restraint and Education account. I do want to note that we do anticipate that to bring an amendment for this bill when it comes back to the committee. I think striking the section that has a repealer in it on line 3.3. And I do have a testifier here with me today, the director who can share more or answer any questions about the bill.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you. My name is Mike Hanson. I have the privilege of serving as the Director for the Department of Public Safety Office of Traffic Safety. The legislation that you have before you is simply a clarification and a best practice recommendation that we would incorporate into Minnesota law regarding child passenger safety systems that are currently in use, when they should be used, the size of the child, when they should be deployed, and really recommending to parents best practices that have been developed by national experts across the country. It brings together under the single statute all of the information that a parent will need in order to determine the safest system for them to utilize to transport their children when they're in a motor vehicle as listed in the statute. As Representative Spencer Murrah noted, we are looking at an amendment to reinstate the penalty part of this. Now, keeping in mind the penalty is also something that if somebody were to receive that citation for that, they can simply attend an educational class and that penalty would be waived. And the penalty funding or the revenue generated from any of those penalties does go to a dedicated spending account that the Office of Traffic Safety utilizes to purchase car seats that we provide free of charge to families who may not be able to afford the appropriate system for their kids. And so it is an important part of the program. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions for you.
Okay. Questions for Director Hanson? Representative Petersburg.
Thank you. Could you go again, clarify for us, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for on the repealer of the statute that has fines and stuff in it? I mean, because this made some changes to that, correct?
Ms. Hanson.
Mr. Chair, Representative Petersburg, yes, the draft legislation that you have before you does have that repealer language, and there is some of the language that we would intend to repeal, with the exception of the penalty, the petty misdemeanor violation for violating the CPS regulations, and then the commensurate fine that goes with that, but also the option to attend the training course to alleviate that fine.
Representative Petersburg.
That's the only question I have is if we are changing fines and regulations, is that something that will need to go to judiciary or not?
There was some discussion of that, and the conclusion was it did not need to go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think that's something we always have to be concerned about, that it needs to be heard in the spots it has to do. My question for you in regards to this recommended procedures on how to deal with your children in your car and stuff. You said that it's really a guideline for parents and others. Is there a way that you have planned to have, to allow them to access this or to disseminate that information to them, or is it pretty much just their own, the expectation that they will explore that themselves?
Director Hanson.
Mr. Chair, Representative Petersburg, a very good question, and we would absolutely include these changes in all of our training materials. We have a large number of CPS technicians and trainers across the state, and this would become part of their curriculum every time they put on a CPS educational event. So we would make that a large part of rolling out the changes in this legislation. We want to educate parents so that they can safely transport their kids all the time in their car.
Thank you.
Thanks. Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe just to follow up on that question, maybe you could settle an argument between me and my husband about when to move our 5-year-old to a booster seat.
You've asked the right person, Director Hanson.
Mr. Chair, Representative Cagle, a great question also. And again, it's not always a one-size-fits-all. It really depends. There's 3 components that protect our children when we're transporting them. It's, first of all, the child. It's their size and their age. That really depends or really determines what type of a safety system is most appropriate for them. Number 2 is the vehicle you're using. As I think we're all well aware, vehicles are very different these days, and they all have different safety systems that are built into them, some of which are specifically designed to work with that child passenger safety seat, which is the 3rd component. And so it really is a product of all 3 of those and the parent making the decision. We're providing the best practices that have been developed by nationally known experts and then incorporating that in the statute to help guide the parents to make those decisions.
Chair Cagle? Okay. Any further discussion from the committee or any other audience testimony? Okay, Representative Sensenbrenner.
Thank you, Chair Hornstein. So when my son was born, he spent some time in the NICU, and to go home from the NICU, he had to do something called a car seat test, which was where he had to sit in his car seat for an hour and show that he was safely breathing before he was able to go home. And so he passed his car seat test, and we got to go home. And then the most terrifying thing to me was that then he was going to be in a car seat in a car. And I think, lots of new parents have that experience. The first time you take your kid out in the car seat, it can be a little terrifying because you realize they're on the road and there's a lot of dangers out there. And we know that motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of unintentional injury-related death among children age 5 to 9. So giving some more guidance around booster seats, which we know can keep kids safe, I think is really important. And so ask you for support in laying this bill over for possible inclusion in the Transportation Policy Omnibus Bill.
Thank you very, very much. Very important safety bill. I appreciate your carrying it. And with that, House File 4649 is laid over for possible inclusion.